Hi, it's Megan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you what's in my food storage closet. This is like my longer term pantry, my overstock from my main pantry. If I need anything, this is where I come if I don't have it downstairs in my regular kitchen. So I'm just going to take you through, kind of show you what I have, why I have it, how I use it. Lots of these things you will have seen in my grocery hauls. That's kind of how I just stay ahead and buy things when they are on sale, and then I store them so that when I need them, I have already paid like the lowest price for that item and I don't have to run out to the store to grab specific things. So lots of times in these videos, I also show you what's in my pantry, but recently I redid my pantry and reorganized everything and it still looks great. And I have pretty much most of the same things that are in there. So if you want to see that, I'll drop it down in the comments and also link it up here in the iCards. If you want to go back and see kind of what's specifically in my pantry, the things that I use like day to day kind of stuff. So let's turn the camera around and I'll show you what I got. So up here on top is where I have all of my canning stuff. So this is where my empty jars go. And then I also still have some full jars of things. So this box has 12 quart jars of peaches. This one has 7 quart jars of peaches. This has 12 quarts of pears and 12 quarts of applesauce is all I have left that's up here. I have some more that's down here on the bottom shelf or on a lower shelf that I'll show you in a minute. And then this top shelf is mostly snacks, breakfast things, and condiments. So over here in this corner is where I mostly have our snacks. I have things like crackers are all kind of down here, some Cheez-Its, some other like more like chippy kind of things, and rice cakes are up there. It might be a little hard to see in the dark. And then back here, I have powdered sugar in individual bags back here in this ice cream bucket, just to help protect it from any pests, which we don't really have up here. Same thing here, except this ice cream bucket has powdered sugar. And then I have a big bag of pancake mix up here. Right here, I have a couple different boxes of oatmeal. Underneath those, I have a few boxes of the Kodiak Cakes protein pancake mix. We like those for camping. A couple more snacks. We have a bag of these tomato basil pizza crisps and another bag of these Wisps. Next to those, we have lots of cereal. So I have 2 big boxes of Raisin Bran Crunch. That's my husband's favorite. And then back here, we have a couple boxes of Life, a s'mores, a few boxes of Golden Grams, some oatmeal squares, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and Lucky Charms. We mostly have those as snacks, not really as breakfast. I have 2 loaves of sourdough bread. This is like shelf-stable bread. That's good through the end of the summer. So I'm just keeping it up here. You just put this whole loaf like in the oven to cook it. I just got this from Costco. Here is hot chocolate. We have 2 smaller mixes that my husband and I got for Christmas that we didn't finish. And then I have 2 quart jars of hot chocolate mix that I keep downstairs during the fall and winter months when we drink it a lot, just so I don't have to keep my giant containers of hot chocolate. So I have a little bit left of this candy cane, an entire full candy cane one, and then a partially full, just regular one. So those I keep up here, and then I refill my quart jars as I need. And then as far as condiments go, I have a backup mayo, a backup peppercini, a backup caramel sauce. We have like this for a few desserts. I have 4 bottles of Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce. I have a backup of hoisin. And then I have 2 backups of maple syrup, a couple things of ketchup, and then a couple like chicken dipping and Chick-fil-A sauce, and then a few Polynesian sauces as well. Back here in the back, I have a box of protein bars. And then over here, I have a few like longer term food storage things. Up here, I just have some like random packets of hot chocolate and some apple cider mix. And then in these 5-gallon buckets, this top one has oats in it. This one with the white lid has white and brown rice in it, just in small like 1 to 2 pound packages. I do need to get a little bit more white rice. I noticed that I was getting low on that. This one right here with the yellow ring has extra flour. And then the one down at the bottom with the yellow lid and the white ring has extra sugar. And then over here, these buckets with the green lid, the pink lid, and then the white lid down at the bottom all hold wheat so that I can grind wheat to make flour to make bread. And then I have a couple of extra just Gamma Seal lids in case I need to buy more of these 5-gallon buckets. I'll have the lids ready to go. These Gamma Seal lids are ones that just twist and make it really easy to access the food that's in these giant buckets. Also over here, I have a couple bags of tortilla chips, a random Powerade, and then this box used to be applesauce pouches, but now it's holding just some random like camping snacks like Cliff Bars, I think is mostly what's in there right now. Also down here, kind of just on the floor, I have an extra thing of oil. Underneath that is a box of 2 gallons of vinegar. Here I have a box of microwave popcorn to refill my stash downstairs. And then I have some random bottles of Powerade, a few random bottles of apple juice, a bag of bread flour, some overflow cake mixes that don't fit where the rest of my cake mixes are. And so it's not the most organized right there, but that's kind of what I have. And then also that goes kind of in that corner. I have a box of ramen. Again, I refill my box that I keep down in my pantry from this. And then underneath that, I have a box of Sun Chips that we eat when we go camping. So I just keep those up here until we need them. So coming back to the shelves, if we go down a shelf, this is where most of my store canned goods are and a lot of my baking things. So over here, we have some just like pouches of rice mostly for emergencies. I need to get them into our 72-hour kits. I just haven't done that yet. And then I have quite a few jars of peanut butter. I have lots of cans of chunked pineapple and evaporated milk back there. I have a few cans of canned chicken breast. Over here is mostly like my soup section. So up top, I have like cream of chicken, cream of potato, cream of celery, cheddar, cream of mushroom. Up here are just a few like extras that don't fit with their friends in the containers. And then down at the bottom is mostly tomato soup because we like having that in the winter with grilled cheese. Moving on from there, here's a few more like canned goods. I have one big tomato sauce, a few different kinds of tomatoes in like these big cans. And then up top, I have small jars of tomato sauce, a few jars of tomato paste. Down here, I have cans of green enchilada sauce. That's what we use most of the time. Down here at the bottom, this row is all big cans of tomato sauce. And then I have 2 rows of the petite diced tomatoes because I use those on lots of things and they're pretty versatile. And I can use these to make crushed tomatoes. I can use them to make tomato sauce, so I usually try to keep lots of those on hand. Okay, and then over here, a few more canned items. I have a few sweetened condensed milks. And then behind that, I have some Great Northern beans. We use those a lot in a few of our like winter soups and stews that we eat. Behind those, I also have some cans of pumpkin and some random just like bulk pantry and baking staples like baking soda, salt, baking powder, those kinds of things. This bucket is full of different kinds of chips. So I have like Heath chips. I have different kinds of chocolate chips, butterscotch chips, mini chocolate chips. Any kind of baking chip you could want is in this bucket. And then behind that, I have a backup of cocoa powder. I have a box of Ghirardelli brownie mixes. Over here, I have a bunch of cake mixes. And in front of those, I have jars of frosting just to keep on hand for when I do birthday cakes. And then I have an Oreo crust right here, as well as some boxes of pudding mix. I like putting those in my cake mixes to make them taste more like a bakery. And then down here, this is my like mostly home canned goods. So over here, I have about 2 rows of quarts of applesauce. I have about 1 row plus a little extra of quarts of pears. And then I have 2 rows of quarts of peaches. My kids really like eating these, and I like having them on hand for when there aren't good deals on fresh produce. And also they're just make really convenient snacks. I can get one of these jars and make up just like individual fruit cups for my kids to keep in the fridge. And 1 quart is good for like almost a week worth of snacks for them. And then over here, I have some jalapeno jelly that my great aunt made. My husband loves that. Also some banana peppers that I canned from our garden from last year. Then back here, all the way to the back actually, is pizza sauce. So I did lots of that last year because we'd gone through the pizza sauce that I made pretty quickly. But then we haven't been making pizzas as much this year. So in the fall, I won't need to make any more pizza sauce because I should have plenty to get through the rest of this year and probably into next canning season. I still have this green tomato salsa verde that my family just doesn't love. I still need to find a good way to use that or just get rid of it. I'm down to only 1 jar of home canned salsa. Last fall, I had a bunch of them, and so I didn't plan on canning any because I knew we had plenty. I didn't need to make more. But we are down to our last one. So this fall, end of the summer, beginning of fall, I definitely will do another batch of homemade salsa because that's my family's favorite. And then I have just this 1 jar of avocado salsa just from the store. And then behind this, I have about 3 or 4 Alfredo sauces. And then I have about 5 or 6 of these store-bought tomato and pasta sauces. Those are easy just for quick dinners. And then over here is kind of all of my clearance snacks that you guys have seen me haul. So I have leftover like cottontails from Easter time. I have applesauces and fruit snacks. And then we finished all of our fruit strips, all of our fruit leather. So these will just get us through the rest of the summer and into the fall until I can get the Halloween clearance deals again. And like I've mentioned in previous videos, these things I only buy when they're on clearance after the holidays, because they last for quite a few months after the actual holiday. And they're totally good. They just have a specific holiday on the wrapper. But they are significantly cheaper than buying them even on sale at most of my local grocery stores and Costco. Moving from our kind of canning row down to our bottom row, this is mostly pasta. So this section over here I have penne, rotini, angel hair, cavatappi is one of our favorites. I have lots of elbow noodles. Those are kind of like the most common pasta shapes that we use. So those are the ones that I stock up on. And then over here, from here almost to the back of the shelf is pastaroni. We eat this about once a week, 3 or 4 times a month on Sundays, just for a quick lunch after church. And then I have 1 box of stuffing mix. I use this. We don't usually eat it as stuffing. We usually add it to meatloaf for a meatloaf recipe that my family really likes. And then behind that is mostly Ziploc bags of various sizes. I keep lots of quarts on hand because that's probably the most common size that I use. So I just like to keep lots of Ziploc bags in various sizes. And then also down here at the very, very bottom, I have things like foil and parchment paper and plastic wrap. I always just keep one of those on hand so that when I run out of my rolls, I always have something like that in the back stock. And then one other thing I like to keep are just some gloves. I have a small box that I keep down in my kitchen, and then I just refill it from here. But these are really nice when I'm dealing with like raw meat, or if I'm pulling meat, or doing like kneading dough, or things that like can get my hands really gross. I like keeping those on hand. So that's everything that I have here in my food storage closet. Drop any questions that you have down below. This is definitely something that has taken many years of me working on and building up. It's not something that I just went out and did like in a month or in a week with my regular grocery shopping. It's just kind of how I've changed my grocery shopping habits to be able to make this kind of food storage. So if you're interested in more tips about how to do that, or you have any other questions, make sure that you drop them down below and I'd be happy to answer them or make another video kind of about how I do this. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next week with a new video. Bye.